Can you name any other instance of Twitter hiding or deleting a tweet from heads of state?
Not off the top of my head.
With your answers on the Ayatollah and others, I just don't understand how Twitter can claim to want a world of less hate and misinformation while you simultaneously let the kind of content that the Ayatollah has tweeted out flourish on the platform.
It's important for world leaders like Iran's terrorist leader to have a platform on Twitter. So let me ask you this. Who elected the Ayatollah?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. I think this is called a dictatorship.
If you enjoy this video or find it informative, I would ask you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell beside it. Leave a comment and maybe hit the like button on the video. That just helps this video do a little better, helps this channel grow, and I would love it if you could become a part of the community here by getting involved on a daily basis as I upload videos every day. Thank you very much. Enjoy the video. Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you highlights from the grilling of the heads of the big tech, Mr. Zuckerberg himself, and of course Jack Dorsey of Twitter. Now, they have had to answer under subpoena some very serious questions regarding the censorship, primarily of conservatives like me, like us of course, from having a voice in what is essentially the modern, what was it that Mr. Dorsey himself described it as? The modern public square, which is essentially what it is. If you, Jack Dorsey, by your own admission, are going to develop a modern digital public square, you therefore have no right to stop people from attending that public square to talk. Now, they got grilled mercilessly. It was good to watch. We've got the highlights. We're about to go through that. We've got some things to watch. I would just like to say, though, there is a caveat to this. And that is, YouTube, I think, is actually starting to do a pretty good job in terms of allowing conservatives to speak. I know that might be a fringe belief. I know I might be going out on a limb here. I know maybe I might eat my words in a day, a week, a month, a year, I don't know. Anyway, so let's get into this video. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video around. Let's get some people seeing Mr. Dorsey and Mr. Zuckerberg's nose getting rubbed into it. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
You name any other instance of Twitter hiding or deleting a tweet from heads of state?
Not off the top of my head, but we have many examples across world leaders around the world.
Would you be willing to provide a list of those?
Absolutely.
I know we've established we agree content moderation can have certain upsides like combating terrorism, but Twitter has chosen to approach content moderation from the standpoint of combating misinformation as well. So it's strange to me that you've flagged the tweets from the president, but haven't hidden the Ayatollah's tweets on Holocaust denial or calls to wipe Israel off the map. And that you can't recall off the top of your head hidden or deleted tweets from other world leaders.
That is a superb point, a superb dressing down by Mr. Corey Gardner there, in which he accurately states that Mr. Dorsey and his organisation at Twitter have been very aggressive in attaching everything from a misinformation warning, a content warning, to everything Donald Trump, well, not everything, but you know what I mean, the most prominent or severe things that Donald Trump has said that really hits home or really damages the Democrats like they ought to be damaged, in my opinion. And their organisation at Twitter doesn't do this with any other world leader, no matter how aggressive or severe their actions are or the things that they're saying. For example, Holocaust denial is up there with some of the worst misinformation you can spread. If you're a fan of history, as I am, you can't help but to have seen the piles of skulls, human skulls, that reach up to the sky. Almost, being hyperbolic, of course, and the piles of reading glasses, gold teeth, spare teeth, clothing of all the people that went into those places, the camps that they kept them at. You know, there was even a saying, the Germans even had a saying, and that saying has always stayed with me. That saying was what they used to say to the people that were coming into the concentration camps. They used to say, you come in through the door, but you go out through the chimney. And that saying has always stayed with me. That's the type of stuff the Ayatollah likes to sprout. He's given no warnings. He's given no censorship. He's given no suspensions. So this is a continuation of the first clip where the grilling gets more intense.
If you said you do not have a list, is that correct? You do not maintain a list?
We don't maintain a list of accounts we watch. We look for reports, and
I don't believe that for 1 second. I'm not saying that Mr. Dorsey is an out-and-out liar. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I very much do believe they keep lists. And not only that, I believe that there are rogue employees on social media like Facebook and Twitter. I believe there are disgruntled rogue employees well steeped in CRT and Marxism, and they've been taught by their professors, who are some very deplorable people. And I don't mean deplorable in a good way. I don't mean deplorables. I mean deplorable. That teach their students very harmful things, and then they take that into the workplace. So I don't believe him when he says this. I could be wrong, but who knows?
Issues brought to us, and then we weigh it against our policy and enforce if needed.
You look for reports from your employees or from the
from the people using the service.
Right, and then they turn that over to your board of review. Is that correct?
So in some cases algorithms take action.
So what he's saying is, when he said from people who use the service, he means people on Twitter who, for example, could flag something and say, oh, I don't like that, you must take that down. And he also said algorithms. Now, algorithms, if what he's saying is true, should catch things, for example, with the Holocaust denial. Should catch it. It doesn't. If Trump said it, you can bet your bottom dollar it would catch it. But when people such as the Ayatollah say it, nothing happens. This is why I don't believe that algorithms play a large part in this. Or if they do, I'm not saying that I don't believe that Twitter doesn't have algorithms. I do believe they do. But what I'm saying is, I believe that they are specifically targeted towards people who have opinions that the blue checkmark brigade doesn't find palatable.
In other cases, humans do. In some cases, it's a pairing of the two.
There are numerous examples of blue check marks that are spreading false information that aren't flagged. So Twitter must have some kind of list of priority accounts that it maintains. You have the blue check mark list. How do you decide when to flag a tweet? You got into that a little bit. Is there a formal threshold of retweets or likes that must be met before a tweet is flagged?
No.
Twitter can't claim that. I just, with your answers on.
You noticed Amy Klobuchar's smug face until she realised that the Zoom camera had obviously gone to her. And which part, in case she looks away. Ooh, because she knows that the Jack Dorseys and the Zuckerbergs of the world, and we'll get onto Zuckerberg in a moment, are on her side, are on her team's side. They're on the same team. She knows that. Dorsey knows that. And now we know that. The American people know that.
The Ayatollah and others, I just don't understand how Twitter can claim to want a world of less hate and misinformation while you simultaneously let the kind of content that the Ayatollah has tweeted out flourish on the platform, including from other world leaders. It's no wonder that Americans are concerned about politically motivated content moderation at Twitter, given what we have just said. I don't like the idea of a group of unelected elites in San Francisco or Silicon Valley deciding whether my speech is permissible on their platforms, but I like...
Correct, absolutely. And once upon a time, I believe Jack Dorsey himself thought like that, or at least that's what he said in public, and must have had his own personal beliefs and professional beliefs that he wasn't letting on, because I can remember Mr. Jack Dorsey, and Zuckerberg for that matter, I can remember them saying, and I'm quoting them here, okay, directly quoting them, that they did not want to be the purveyors of what is true or not. Their own words. I quoted them perfectly when I just said that. Yet, professionally, when they get behind their screens in their big offices, their plush offices, they're doing anything but. It is either that, or they do have rogue employees working in their offices who are hanging them out to dry, habitually damaging their own company and their own brand. Next, we have a simply superb job done by Marsha Blackburn, who just hands it to them on a plate. Take a look.
I want to go back to Senator Gardner's questions. You claimed earlier that the Holocaust denial and threats of Jewish genocide by Iran's terrorist Ayatollah don't violate Twitter's so-called rules, and that it's important for world leaders like Iran's terrorist leader to have a platform on Twitter. So let me ask you this. Who elected the Ayatollah?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. I think this is called a dictatorship.
Oh, knockout blow. That was a knockout blow. He didn't know. Of course he didn't know. I think he had his suspicions. But she schooled him. She schooled him hard. She said it herself, and I'm going to paraphrase her. It's called a dictatorship. That is exactly what it is.
So are people in Iran allowed to use Twitter? Or does the country whose leader you claim deserves the platform ban them from doing so?
Ideally, we would love for the people of Iran to use Twitter.
That's not what she asked you. She said, can they? Not, would you like them to?
Iran bans Twitter, and Mr. Zuckerberg, I know you are aware, they ban Facebook also.
So, in other words, the Ayatollah uses Twitter as a kind of propaganda machine where he spreads his poison far and wide. Yet, the people in Iran cannot use Twitter or Facebook, for that matter, to communicate with each other. Why? Because the Ayatollah does not... This is key. This is important. I hope you're not skipping past this, because this is an important lesson. The reason why the Ayatollah does not allow people to use Facebook or Twitter is exactly the same reason why Jack Dorsey and Mr. Zuckerberg stop conservatives, or at least try to stop conservatives from having a voice on their platform. They don't want free speech. They don't want ideas to pass freely between the people that might threaten their political ideology, or might push back or act as some kind of rebuttal on their own ideology. That's the reason why.
So, Mr. Dorsey, is Donald Trump a world leader?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be important for world leaders to have access to your platform, correct?
Correct.
And so why do you deny that platform via censorship to the U.S. president?
We haven't censored the U.S. president.
Oh, yes, you have. How many posts from Iran's terrorist Ayatollah have you censored? How many posts from Vladimir Putin have you censored?
We have labeled tweets of world leaders. We have a policy around not taking down the content, but simply adding more context around it.
Okay. And the U.S. president you have censored 65 times. You testified that you're worried about disinformation and interference. That is something we all worry about. And of course, for about 100 years, foreign sources have been trying to influence U.S. policy in U.S. elections.
Now, that's a very good point. And not only that, I would argue that it's not Trump or the Republicans that have been swayed or have been victim to foreign interference. On the contrary, I would say that it's the Democrats, because if a foreign entity has the goal of sowing distrust and misfortune among the people of the West and the United States in particular, they've done a very good job with the Democrats. They have managed to turn an entire political party, the Democrats, against their own country, their own ideals, capitalism, free speech, etc., etc. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and so on and so on. And I'm not saying there are, but I'm just saying if there are foreign entities doing this, it's not Donald Trump and the Republicans that have fallen victim to it. On the contrary, it is the Democrats. Now, you know as well as I do that the mainstream media and of course big tech like Twitter, Facebook would have you believe that it's actually Donald Trump. And as Marsha said, President Donald Trump has been censored on Twitter 65 times that she could find. The Ayatollah, etc., etc., his ilk, censored 0 times. Now, you probably thought that Zuckerberg was escaping the all-seeing eye, but you were wrong. So it's time for Zuckerberg to step up to the plate and start the flogging now.
Can you name for me one high-profile person or entity from a liberal ideology who you have censored, and what particular action you took?
Senator, I can get you a list of some more of this, but there are certainly many.
In other words, no. And sorry to interrupt so quickly, but am I the only one that looks at Zuckerberg and he doesn't look like a human being, does he? He doesn't look, it's like a very advanced robot. That's what he reminds me of, like, with a human skin over it. It's just, there's something off about him. Just something not right.
The examples that your Democratic colleagues object to when a fact checker might label something as false that they disagree with, or they're not able to.
I get that. I get that. I just want to be clear. I'm just asking you if you can name for me one high-profile liberal person or company who you've censored. I understand that.
No, he can't. Let me tell you how they do this. They will censor a lot of high-profile conservative content creators, voices, personalities, and when the heat gets too much, what they will do in the opposite direction is they will pick a random person, like just an ordinary person who happens to be a Democrat. Maybe in the Twitter bio or the Facebook bio, they have Biden-Harris 2020, etc., etc., and then they'll censor that person. It could even be a throwaway account, and then they'll say, look, see, it's the same. See, look, it's equal. When you and I know that it's not. I'm so glad, though, that the American public are waking up to the games, because that's what that is. What I just described to you is just a game they play. But I'm glad people are waking up to those games. And I will leave you with this tweet from Ted Cruz, who, as you know, did a stellar job in the subpoenas of Jack Dorsey and Mr. Zuckerberg. So Jack told the Senate under oath something that now has been shown to be false. So he said under oath that the New York Post story is now able to be shared around, but as Mr. Ted Cruz just proved, that it is still blocked. 18 USC 1621 makes it a felony to lie under oath to the Senate. Big words, Mr. Ted Cruz. I absolutely support what you did in it. Hey, look, at least they were subpoenaed. At least they came to talk under oath, give answers under oath. I would love to see you enact whatever 18 USC 1621 is. Sounds like something that we could all enjoy seeing, but it won't happen. We know it won't happen. You probably know it wouldn't happen. But hey, look, at least you did what you did. Look, I'm not going to knock you for that, Ted Cruz. I'm glad that you went out of your way to at least allow the public to see the raw and rank hypocrisy of the likes of Jack Dorsey, who, I don't know, there's just something about him I don't like. And it's the same with Zuckerberg. Though, and I still stand by this, I believe that YouTube is doing a much better job. A much better job than the other two. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell and share this video around. That will help me stay competitive with the likes of CNN and MSNBC. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. If you enjoyed that video, if I could ask you please to subscribe to the channel, hit that little subscribe bar down below, hit the notification bell beside it and put it on notifications to all notifications. That will just notify you when I upload. I upload videos almost every day. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow.